Marvel once ruled Hollywood. After Endgame, everything started falling apart. So what went wrong? Just a few years ago, Marvel was dominating Hollywood. Every new movie felt like a global event, and millions of fans were waiting for the next chapter of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Then came Avengers Endgame. The film made nearly $3 billion, becoming one of the biggest movies in history and the climax of more than 10 years of storytelling. For many fans, Endgame felt like the perfect ending. But after that, something changed. New Marvel movies kept coming out, new heroes appeared, the universe kept expanding. Yet the excitement around Marvel slowly began to fade, and a question started appearing everywhere online. Did Marvel lose something after Endgame? To understand what changed, we need to go back to the beginning. In 2008, Marvel released Iron Man. At the time, it didn't look like the start of a massive empire. Marvel wasn't the giant studio we know today, and many people doubted that a connected superhero universe could ever work. But Iron Man surprised everyone. The film became a huge success, earning more than $580 million worldwide and proving that audiences were ready for something new. And then Marvel did something unusual. Instead of telling one complete story, they planted the first piece of a much bigger idea, a connected universe where every movie was part of the same story. What made Marvel different from every other studio was the plan behind the movies. Instead of treating each film as a separate story, Marvel connected everything. Characters from one movie appeared in another. Small scenes hinted at future events, and every project slowly built toward something bigger. For audiences, this was something completely new. Watching Marvel movies started to feel less like watching individual films and more like following a long series. Each story became a chapter in a much larger universe, and with every new release, that universe kept growing. Bigger heroes, bigger threats, and bigger events. Before long, Marvel had turned its movies into the biggest cinematic experiment Hollywood had ever seen. The real turning point came in 2012 with the Avengers. For the first time, characters from several different movies appeared together on the same screen. Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, heroes who had their own stories, were suddenly part of one massive event. For audiences, it felt completely new. The movie became a global phenomenon and earned more than $1.5 billion worldwide. But the most important thing wasn't just the money. Marvel had proven that their experiment actually worked. A connected universe wasn't just possible, it was the future of blockbuster movies. And suddenly, everyone in Hollywood wanted to copy it. After the Avengers, Marvel entered what many fans now call its golden era. Every new film added another piece to the growing universe. Characters crossed between stories, new heroes were introduced, and every movie pushed the larger narrative forward. The stakes kept getting bigger. Films like Civil War, Black Panther, and Infinity War became massive global hits. Audiences weren't just watching superhero movies anymore. They were following a decade-long story that connected everything together. And that story was slowly building toward one final moment, a movie that would bring the entire universe together and become the biggest event Marvel had ever created. That movie was Avengers Endgame. When Avengers Endgame arrived in 2019, it felt like the end of an era. The movie brought together more than 10 years of storytelling and dozens of characters from across the Marvel universe. The result was enormous. Endgame earned nearly $2.8 billion worldwide, becoming one of the highest-grossing movies in history. Fans filled theaters around the world, and for many people the film felt like the perfect conclusion to the entire saga. But that success also created a new problem. After such a massive finale, Marvel suddenly faced a difficult question. Where could the story possibly go next? After Endgame, the Marvel Universe didn't stop. New movies continued to release, new characters appeared, and the studio kept expanding its world. But something was different. For the first time in years, the excitement around Marvel started to feel weaker. The original heroes who carried the franchise were gone. Iron Man was gone. Captain America had stepped away. The characters that audiences had followed for more than a decade were no longer leading the story. Marvel tried to move forward with new heroes and new storylines, but replacing characters that fans had loved for so many years was never going to be easy. And slowly, many viewers began to feel that something important was missing. To move the story forward, Marvel introduced a new concept, the multiverse. In theory, it allowed the studio to create endless possibilities. Different timelines, alternate versions of characters, and completely new worlds could all exist at the same time. But for many viewers, the idea quickly became confusing. Suddenly, the story was no longer simple. To understand what was happening, audiences had to watch multiple movies and TV shows connected to the same storyline. What once felt exciting started to feel complicated. And for the first time, some fans began to feel that keeping up with the Marvel Universe was starting to feel like work. At the same time, Marvel began releasing more content than ever before. With the launch of Disney+, the studio didn't just make movies anymore. It started producing multiple series connected to the same universe. Shows like WandaVision, Loki, Hawkeye, and others became part of the larger story. But this created a new challenge. To fully understand what was happening in the Marvel Universe, audiences suddenly had to follow not only the movies, but also several TV series. For some fans, this was exciting, but for many others, the Marvel Universe started to feel overwhelming. As Marvel released more movies and series, another problem began to appear. The quality started to feel inconsistent. Some projects were still successful, but others received much weaker reactions from both critics and audiences. Movies like Eternals and Ant-Man, Quantumania divided fans and struggled to create the same excitement that earlier Marvel films once had. For the first time in years, the conversation around Marvel started to change. Instead of asking what the next big event would be, people were asking a different question. Was Marvel starting to lose the magic that made the MCU so special in the first place? As these problems grew, the conversation around Marvel changed even more. For years, every new Marvel release felt like a guaranteed success. But now some movies were earning less than expected, and the excitement that once surrounded the franchise wasn't as strong as before. Online discussions began using a new phrase, Marvel fatigue. The idea was simple. After more than a decade of constant releases, audiences might finally be getting tired of superhero movies. Whether that idea is completely true or not, one thing became clear. For the first time in years, Marvel was no longer untouchable. Despite all these challenges, Marvel is still one of the biggest franchises in the world. The studio continues to release new projects and plans to expand the universe even further in the coming years. But the situation is clearly different from what it was during the peak of the MCU. The excitement is no longer automatic. Fans are more critical, and every new movie now faces much higher expectations. Marvel once changed the entire movie industry. The real question now is whether the studio can do it again, or if the golden era of the MCU has already passed.